Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the road not taken. It is a poem by Robert Frost. So you just need to develop your own interpretations about this poem. So do you have any understanding of that?
No, sir.
That's an easy thing to do then. Yeah. Please mark him absent. Ira Heather, Ira Heather. Okay, mark her absent. Ikram Jid.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ikra. So tell me something about The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Uh, the Road Not Taken is basically written by Robert Frost, in which he talks about uh, this is basically a decision making stanzas in starting, and we see that decision making is a very challenging affair for everyone in a life, in which compares the li- in which he compares the roles with the individual life, in which we choose our decisions, we take decisions in our life in different ways, and he says that decision making in life is very difficult task for us in every field of life. In first as two stanzas, he show confusion to choose the road because there are two roads that are covered with yellow leaves. And he,
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ikram. Thank you.
okay, sir.
Thank you. Mahnur Mujtaba. Mahnur Mujtaba, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mahnur, what is extended metaphor? What is extended metaphor? Okay, thank you. Minahil Amjad.
Yes, sir. Sir, extended metaphor is the
No,
metaphor that we. Yes, sir.
not this one. Okay,
Sir,
what does
the-
mean by what does mean by if a poem is monosyllabic? What is monosyllable?
this poem is written in monosyllabic. So, mono means once, and syllabic means the syllables which Robert Frost has used in this poem. So, this poem written by Robert Frost, and he used all this poem in monosyllabic.
Give any example of any word or of any phrase.
सर वो टेक्स्ट नहीं है वरना मैं वर्ड्स आपको बताती अभी वो वर्ड्स जो उसने यूज किए थे
Like the road not taken.
सर कैन यू हियर मी
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
हेलो सर
Madam, I am there. I'm listening you. Yes, I'm listening you. I'm listening you. There is problem at your side. I'm listening you. Okay then. Thank you. Who is next? Muhammad Bilal. Muhammad Bilal, are you there?
यस सर
Not you. Yes, you can mute yourself now. Minahil. Thank you. Muhammad Bilal. Bilal, are you there? Okay, Muhammad Fahad.
हेलो
Yes, sir.
Can someone please send a message to Minahal to mute herself? Okay, Muhammad Fahad.
Yes, sir. But what was
Uh,
the question?
what what is the tone actually of this poem, The Road Not Taken?
Sir, there are different interpretations of this poem, including the tone of this poem. um, as it is monosyllabic, so it is a kind of conversational tone, and he is musing inside his mind, and recalling the decision that he's made sometime in the past. And he could be said to be have a regretful tone, or he could be said to have a uh, very encouraging tone because of his wise decision that he made. So it depends upon interpretation. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any theme of regret in this poem?
Sir, according to those school of thought who see it as a regretful poem, there are some quiet words which indicate that it has a um, regretful tone. Uh, for example, the word in the last stanza, "I shall be telling with a sigh," and the word sigh itself could be interpreted as regretful.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Farhan.
Thank you.
Uh, yes, Muhammad Uzair.
Yes, sir.
Uzair, poem is, you see that about championing decisions. Like if someone is actually winning the decision, like someone is thinking that okay, I will take this part. Like I'm talking about the poet or the man who is actually thinking about which way to take or which way to go. So poem is not about actually championing decisions, but it is about making independent decisions of your own. Do you agree?
Yes, sir. I'm agree to some extent because when we have to decide one path out of two paths or any other, we have two choices and we have to select one. Then we have to select only one, and it is our independent decision that what thing we are to decide. Because in the poem there were two paths, and poet was to decide only one path, and it was his independent decision because he was unaware of anything in the two roads. He was not known that which road may lead him to the wrong path, wrong or the correct path. So I think that it is an independent decision.
Okay. Your answer is right, but there is one suggestion to you that never ever use I am agree. Do not do
Okay,
this.
sir.
You can simply
Okay,
use
sir.
I agree, I disagree, but don't ever say that I am disagree. Please.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, your answer was right. Yeah, Nimra Munir. Nimra, are you there? Nimra Munir. Nisha, are you there? At Salan and Dubai, you can mark automatically those students absent who do not respond.
Okay, sir.
Noor Miraj, are you people playing with me? Sort of game like you or I think that muting yourself and you are just doing your other works or might be you are sleeping. I do not know anything about yourselves. I think this is the reason that you people do not unmute yourself and say something. So if this is any type of fooling, I think that we must not be organizing this class anymore because you don't show up, you don't unmute yourself, you do not say something, you do not respond me, except if you. This is totally wrong. Okay, Mark, Nimra, Nisha, and Nur Miraj absent. And I will tell you when your attendance will be below than 70%, and then you will come to me that, sir, this was the problem with me, and then I will see. Rabia Javed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Rabia, what right interpretation you can get from the title, the road not taken?
In this poem, Robert Frost want to tell us that this is a road and there is two ways on this road, and we choose so we select the one, um, and this decides our this interpreted inter sorry sir inter uh, interpret
Interpret,
interpret us
interprets.
interpret that what decision we want to choose in our future. And you told us in your last lecture that the poem who talks about the nature is the depressed soul. I think sir, that's
And this is the reason, Bhavya, that when we do not speak usually, so these are the things that we don't know, even though that which word and how the words must be spoken. I think that that's the reason that we all must be practicing our language, that this is the best way to speak it. So keep practicing your language. Otherwise, we are stuck on every word, okay, whether it is interpret, whether it is something else. I know that sometimes it is a slip of the tongue with lack of confidence and when you are feeling fear, and even though when you are not ready to speak, but I think so that you must be ready all the time yourselves for every challenge that you encounter. Okay then, thank you. At least you spoke. Rabia, Rabia or Rabia? Rabia Mir. Yes, Rabia Mir. She is not available. Rimsha Naseem.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you please interpret the title of the poem, The Road Not Taken?
Yes, sir. This poem is written by Robert Frost, and he in this poem is actually trying to convey that in life we have always opportunities and we have choices, and we can only choose one thing in our life, and as in the two ways, as two paths are in front of Robert Frost, but he can only choose one. So we can only choose one for us, and we have to make decision, and decisions are always difficult to make. So we should
Rimsha?
take decision.
Okay,
Yes,
listen to
sir.
me. Listen to me. When I ask this question, that what is your view about the title, it means that you have to stay on the title. Like you can say that the road not taken, or
Okay, sir.
listen to me, the road not taken, or the title of the poem can be interpreted in one way, in two ways, in three ways. The first is that okay, that he took the one road but not the other. This can be the first interpretation. The second is that he took the road not taken by the other. This is the second interpretation. So you just need to go like this. You are
Okay, sir.
intermixing, all of you intermixing every situation, because you know only one thing, that is summary. So to not do this,
Okay,
you
sir.
have to interpret the poem, the title of the poem. Exactly.
Okay, sir. Actually, title indicates that maybe he is regretful because the road not taken is somehow a tone that suggests that he's regretting over his decision.
Okay, thank you.
This is
Thank
my
you, Nisha.
interpretation.
Sarah Zulkarnain.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, which form has been used in this poem?
Which form?
Yes. Which form has been used in this poem?
It is a monosyllabic poem, monosyllabic form, and the pattern of the form is A B A A B, and the tone is regretful and indecisive and pessimistic, and extended metaphor is used in this form, and the vocabulary is very easy and plain, and Robert Frost has used a very simple language. That's all for the teacher.
We could We could only understand your and clearly, and rest of the answer we didn't get anything. I think
Sir,
there
the
is some
form
problem
is
with your mic
sir, the form
again.
is mono. Sir, अब आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, I can.
Sir, the form is monosyllabic. Monosyllabic means one syllable, and
Sarah, thank you
the
so much. There's some problem with your voice. I think so. With your mic, I cannot get it. It's okay. It's okay. You are done with your answer. Thank you. Shamsa.
okay, sir.
Shamsa Kamal.
Yes, sir.
Now I can see the progress. Everyone whom I'm calling, they are just unmuting themselves and they are speaking. Wow. Okay, so what this poem is all about? Like what type of mode has been used? Optimistic and or pessimistic?
Optimistic.
How?
Sir, the poet is regretting the past and hoping for the future.
Pessimistic. Then what? What is
Sir, the,
optimism and pessimism, by the way?
uh, when someone is positive about his thinking, then it will be optimistic, and then pessimistic is negative. Way.
Okay, so it is about negative and positive. So if the words are negative and positive for these terms, why the people or the linguist haven't used negative and positive instead of they have coined the new words like pessimism and optimism if they are both the
Also,
same.
satisfaction or regretful.
Do you have any arrow left in your box?
Sorry, sir.
Is that do you have any arrow left in your box? Because you also need to shoot that arrow in the air also. Okay, so that was metaphorically, or metaphor. Okay, thank you so much, Shamsa. Sayyida Hijab Zahra.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sometimes you see that, especially when he talks about that, okay, which road I need to take and which way I just need to go, it seems that he's befooling yourself, like himself. So, befooling himself or tricking himself, do you think that it is that he is befooling himself by saying because he cannot make any decision, he is totally submissive, he is totally indecisive? So, do you feel the same when you read this poem?
Yes, sir. Actually, this poem is placed on neutral grounds. It is not pessimistic, it is not optimistic, because whenever we take a decision, we don't know its aftermaths or where the roads are leading us towards. And so it's about fate and free will also. Like the decision could lead us to the good results or to the bad results, but when we choose one thing out of two, then it means we have no other opportunity. So this is my answer.
Okay, fine, thank you. Yes, Tayyiba Hassan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tayyiba, so tell me something about the indecisive nature of the poet. the indecisive nature of the poet. Can you relate the indecisive nature or incapability of making any decision with any modern man of today? Did you get the question? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Did you get the question?
Yes, sir.
And then how much time will you take?
Uh, Sir, he was confused to which road he should take. So I can relate it to a modern man. Yes, we also get sometimes confused to uh, about decisions.
Yeah, go on. Do you have a hammer at your house?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a hammer, a kind of tool?
Yes.
Why don't you bring that and strike that one or two times in your mic? Because I don't know that you are not responding. Otherwise, there is some distortion. That is just making me deaf. I would say a loud noise that is coming from your mic. Okay, so Saiba, are you done with your answer? Is this the only thing that you know about?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Tuba,
Yes, sir.
can you draw any relative connection, any relative connection with this poem and any of the other poem, or any of the other situation, or any of the other event, or whatever you know about? But this, can you draw a connection between both of them?
I didn't get the question. I should relate this poem with any real
With any,
life.
with anything, with any real event, with any imaginative event, with anything that you know, with any person, with any situation, anything that you know.
Uh, Sir, I think this poem is very realistic in this way that we often make some decision, and then if even if we are performing well in that field that we have chosen, we still think that if we had taken that field, what would we be doing, or what our life would be like. So I think when Robert Frost talks about the road not to be the road not taken, and and feel sigh, I think it is like um, we take when we take most of the decisions, and after that we think, what if we had taken that one. And
Okay. Super. Thank you. Thank you. Alicia Sarfaraz. Yes, Alicia Sarfaraz. Are you there? Alicia Sarfaraz. Okay. Mark her absent as well. Lehrasib. Lehrasib, are you there? What's the matter with your understandings? I don't know. I think that this is one of the most easiest literary piece that you are going through. Like from your first semester to your 8th semester journey, this is the only, I think, one of the most easiest thing that you are going through, that you are reading and studying. I don't know that why you are just too much careless about the things. Okay, thank you so much. So now we can start the next poem that we had already continued. It is Birches. And let me share my screen with you people. So just let me know when screen is visible. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because we have, I think, studied two or three more lines, and I wish that I must start this poem once again, because I can see that if I have taught you people the road not taken, if you couldn't get that, even though that is one of the most easiest poem of Robert Frost, so you may have forgotten these four lines or five lines that we have studied already, so we can restart. Okay, so Birches by Robert Frost. As I have already told that the birches, it is a tree, birch is a tree, and this birch tree used to be not only one tree, a bunch of the trees. This used to belong to Robert Frost's father and uncle, and this was because they had a home in a countryside in the village. So when he was a child, or you can say young, around about 15 to 12 to 15 years old, he used to go there and he used to swing with those branches of birch, and then he associates himself with the swinging of the birch tree. And now, when he is talking about his childhood experience after many ages, so now he can refresh his memory that how he used to swing that birch tree and what reasonable meanings he can coin from the birch tree. Because talking about the birch, talking about the daffodils, talking about the other trees uh, doesn't mean that they have only one way of life or one meaning to understand. They have multiple meanings to understand or multiple ways to go. So that is the reason that we have to understand that we can interpret the poem with our own understanding. Instead of you are going for any assistance or for any help, you can do that. I'm not asking you to not to do that. You can also do that. But I think first of all we just need to understand the beauty of the text, the beauty of the poem in its real sense. Okay, so when I see birches bent to left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I think, I like to think some boy has been swinging. You can call that might be he is not the same and he is now adult enough, grown up, and now he would like to see his past once again. And he thinks about the possibility that might be these trees or this tree of birch has been swung by any boy in the young age, because you know that the adult people they do not, so most of the time they do not, or they usually do not do this, but only this is the play of the children that they used to swing over the branches of the trees. As you know that many of you, even though including I have also, I used to do this when I was a child. And straighter, darker trees. So the straighter, darker trees, you can say that it represents the adulthood, adulthood, and rigid or the stiffness of the life. Because straighter, darker trees, darker, dark, is another word that you can get from this line, that the dark is all the time. Sometimes it's straighter, darker trees or the dark tree, or even the only the word dark is associated with the hopelessness, something with death, something that we can lament upon. So they, you know that all these meanings and words they are associated that have the negative connotations. They are associated with the dark world. Like you can also see dark market. Okay? Like similarly, you also see that dark place. It means that everything that is dark has negative connotations or negative meanings. Or might be, you know, that this is another word that you can say that is used only to victimize someone. Because everything that is white is considered good, and everything that is dark, that is considered bad. Okay, like blacklist, black market, black people, even though. So you can say that how the meanings, sorry, the words have the powerful meanings in them. So straighter, darker trees can also associate or can also represent the meanings of adulthood, because he is now adult and he just want to see again his past by looking at the birch tree, because the past is associated or connected with the birch tree, and this becomes a triangle because he is looking at the tree, and that tree gives him a glimpse of the past, and that glimpse of the past then again comes to Robert Frost. So this is a triangle that you can be draw. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay. And now you will again see that he is again in a position where sometimes he sees that nature is good, nature is bad. On the other thing, he talks about the life in binaries, and you will see that he's found many places. At many places, he's found that okay, the things are first of all in in another shape, and sometimes it is in another way. So in other shapes or in other way, the things are not all the time similar to each other. They are having different binaries, I would say. It means these are, you can say, juxtaposition of the ideas. First of all, he's saying something else, and on the other side, he's saying something else. Even though you can also see the dark tree. The tree coins another meaning, that is of green, you can say, but the dark, that coins another meaning. So this can also be a juxtaposition. Left and right, this is also a juxtaposition. It means that when a writer is using two different ideas into one sentence, that is a juxtaposition. So this whole poem will be found having juxtaposed ideas into it. Or you can say, in other words, binaries of the two things. As he says that, but swinging, first of all, he was saying that it has any boy who has been swinging them, and now he's saying that swinging does not bend them down to sleep. Now he just taken his words back. Okay, so this is a kind of, you can say, juxtaposition. And swinging does not bend them down to stay as ice storms do. So now he brings upon a third force, and that force is of nature. He says that no, boy was not swinging it, and they didn't bend it. Rather, the birch tree, they are bent by the ice storms because they have the powers. Okay, and on the other side, one thing that I just, another thing that I just need to mention here, when I was talking about the straighter, darker trees, because it just came into my mind. Because when he used to go over here, come over here, sorry, then he would have been looking at the trees. So then the trees were also, you can say, small. They were also small. And now if he's coming after years and years to this place, so now the trees, they are also adult. The straight darker trees. It means that they are now also grown up. They are now also adult. So that is the reason that you can say that from his journey from childhood to adulthood is another way to take note. One often you must have seen them loaded with ice a sunny winter morning after a rain. This is a strong imagery you can imagine. A strong imagery. So this is also an imagery because imagery talks about our five senses, including your taste of smell, touch, sight, and two more. It means that these five senses, when they are found in anywhere, in anything, so that is describing a close relationship of the human being with that thing, rather that thing is unanimated, without any life. So you can see here that once often you must have seen. So seen is from or out of those five senses. Seen, touch, taste. So this is out of those five senses. So seen them, it means this is a strong imagery. And images or imagery is a strong mental picture associated with your senses. So once you must have seen them loaded with the ice a sunny winter morning after reading. So now with this line you can easily understand that what he talks about. Yeah. Because when winter comes, especially in the morning, there is some snow on those birch trees after a rain. And you must have seen them, all the trees, their branches loaded with tree. So it seems that all the trees, they are loaded with tree. Especially you might have observed or you might have seen in different movies, especially the movies when they are, especially the scenes in the movies when they are in taken in Russia, when they are taken in Iceland, when they are taken in Canada. So you can see that the trees, they are full of snow on their tops. So he is talking about that scene. So in the morning he says that every tree is loaded with snow. They click upon themselves as the breeze rises. So as the breeze blows, because breeze is when at the morning when he wakes up, so he sees that the breeze blows or the breeze rises. So now you can see that they click upon themselves. The trees, they click upon themselves. That the snow falling, they are clicking on the top of that tree because they do not have any more place and more space to stay over there because the trees are already loaded with snow. So they click upon themselves as the breeze rises and turn many colored as the still cracks and crazes their enamel. And what happens afterwards? When the breeze blows, so the trees, they are swaying from one to another side. The trees, they are swaying from one to another side. And when they are swaying from one another side, what happens? That there are some cracks and creases on the top of the trees because they were filled with snow. But when the breeze blows, what happens? That they were swaying from one position to another, and with that, you know that there are some cracks and creases on the top of that enamel. Enamel is a kind of, you can say, a a a coat of something, like you are coating the wall, you are coating that tree. So there are some
Enamel.
cracks actually in that enamel of the tree. And when there are some cracks, so what happens? That there are some colors. They turn their multicolors. Like you can see that when there are some cracks, so from the cracks, you can also see the green tree. You can also see the branches of the green tree. So it seems that they have the color like the color black color, because you can see that from the cracks there will be a color that will be emerging as black, and the green color of the tree, and then the white color of the snow. So they are multicolored at the same time as the stir cracks and crazes their enamel. So stir means to blend something, because you know that there is also breeze, air, and then there is the swing of the tree. So this is how you can say they give multicolors or many colors. You can also
सर
yes.
सर प्लीज एक्सप्लेन करते हैं लाइन दोबारा वो क्रैक्स वाला क्या बताया उसकी समझ नहीं है थोड़ी सी वो कलर कैसे अपीयर होते हैं
I said that they click upon themselves as the breeze rises. When the breeze rises, what happens that you know that the trees that they were static before, but now they are swaying from one position to another. And when they sway, what happens that there are some cracks. Due to the swaying of that, there are some cracks. So in those cracks, you can see that the cracks and the white snow and the green branches, or even though you know that in the picture you can see that it is the leaves are sometimes yellowish, sometimes green, so they have different colors. So when they are swaying from one position to another, so they give multicolors to the onlookers, so the people they can see that they have the multiple colors. So this is what I have talked about. Soon the sun's warmth makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow crust, such heaps of broken glass to sweep away. What happens? Soon the sun's warmth, the warmth of the sun makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow crust. And now what happens? This is again a strong imagery. A strong imagery. You know that the snow will not stay there for any longer time until or unless there is another power of the nature, the most, I would say, a strong power of the nature when it comes. I'm talking about the sun. When it comes on the scene, what happens with the warmth, of the sun? So the trees they were loaded with the ice. So now what will happen? That they shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow. Because you know that with the warmth of the sun, the snow melts, and when the snow melts, they cannot stick to the branches of the trees anymore. So what happens that they are then shattering, they are breaking, they are losing its grip from the branches of the tree and avalanching on the snow crust. They are falling like an avalanche on the snow crust. Another, I would say, strong metaphor. Another strong metaphor. It means that snow is not only the power. You see that this is a competition between or among the powers of the nature. The first power is the tree, and the second power is snow. You know that snow is also associated with something dead, because you know that when there is snow falling, might be this is another component of beauty or component of nature, but what happens that all the green life, it becomes fade under the power of that snow. And what happens when the snow is on the trees, on the plants, and if it stayed over there for a longer time, what will happen? All the plants and the trees, they will be dead. They will be dead because they will not be getting proper oxygen. They cannot excrete carbon dioxide. So their life will be totally finished when the you can say snow will remain on the greenery for any longer time. You know that sometimes whenever there is any snow on the grass, so after some time the grass is rotten, totally rotten. It means that sun, sorry, the tree, they have another power, and on the other side, snow, they have another power to rule over the greens. But on the other side, there is another power, that is sun. And that sun is doing, the sun is rescuing the trees. Another, you can say this is the process of life, a cycle of nature, a cycle of nature. And one doesn't die, another begins. So this is what we can say, that when it was about that the crystal shells, they are now shattering beneath the warmth of the sun. They are ever launching on the snow crust, such heaps of broken glass to sweep away. You'd think the inner dome of heaven had fallen. Again, a strong imagery. Again, a strong imagery. We see, he feels, he thinks so, that what it is, that you'd think like they are actually breaking. They are like the snow breaks from the trees with the warmth of the sun, and it is avalanching on the ground or on the crust of the snow like this, as you feel that the inner dome of the heaven had fallen. Very beautiful. How beautiful imagery it is. Because you see that even though uh, if you talk about the sky, so sky, if you are standing on the earth on a plain ground, and what you will see that the sky looks like a dome. It looks like a dome. It looks like that it is a round and curved ceiling or a roof. It looks like there is a curve and round shape ceiling on your head. So he is actually talking about that dome. That it thinks it looks like the inner dome of heaven had fallen, because on the tree they are like the same round shape. With the same round shape they are on the trees. And when on the other side the warmth of the sun melts the dome of the tree or the snow of the tree, they are avalanching with a thrust on the ground. And it seems that the inner dome of heaven had fallen. And why it happens so? You see that the warmth of the sun is attacking directly, the rays of the sun is attacking directly on the top of the tree, on the top of the tree. When it is actually attacking on the top of the tree, so that part is actually melting. And what will happen, the other snowflakes, they will be actually helping the top. But you know that the grip of the snow is tight at only the top. So when that grip will be loosened, so then the whole block of the snow will be on the ground like a dome of the heaven. So this is what he means to talk about. They are dragged to the withered bracken by the Lord, and they seem not to break. It means that they are dragged to the withered. Withered, you can say, you can take the meanings to when something is reduced in its size. Something is reduced in its size. Something this happens because of lack of the water in the plants, so they get shrunk. They get shrunk. So this is wither. And what is bracken? You can say bracken is a kind of small growth of branches, or small growth of you can say of shrubs from the trees. So they are dragged to the withered bracken by the Lord, and they seem not to break. So what happens now? You see that with the load of that snow, when they are actually having and bearing uh, a bunch of snow, a ton of snow on their branches. So it seems that the tree will break with the weight of that snow. The tree will break, but with the load, with the withered bracken load of the ice, they seem not to break. Though once they are bowed so low for long, they never right themselves. But there is another thing, he says. Whether they are down, whether they are bent, whether they are bowed like an ark, whether they are bowed for so long, there is one thing that they never right themselves. You can associate this thing with the people who are having multiple problems, multiple issues in their lives, and who you can say grew up older, older, uh, even though they are not. So they look older than their looks or than their ages. So this is the same that though once they are bored so low for long, they never right themselves because they were actually bearing and enduring the weight of the problems and the atrocities of the life. So they are now low. They are bowed and low for so long. They cannot correct themselves. They cannot right themselves. They cannot be once again to the same position where we were. Now you can also talk about here the savagery of the nature, the violency of the nature. That nature is also violent, and you can see like that how nature on the other side is a solace, is a source of peace and calmness, but on the other side nature is also violent. That what nature has, what snow has done to the tree, that with the weight of the with the ice, they were now bowed, they were now bent, totally bent, and they cannot right themselves once again. आपने देखा होगा कि अक्सर ट्रीज जो हैं वो बहुत ज्यादा टेढ़े हो जाते हैं, या उनको स्विंगिंग की वजह से, या उनको बहुत ज्यादा जो है वो हवा की वजह से वो एक ही तरफ को लुढ़क जाते हैं, बिल्कुल टेढ़े हो जाते हैं। और फिर क्या है कि they cannot right themselves because वो इतनी ज्यादा, वो उनसे पता चल जाता है, like you can easily understand that they are facing some issues and problems because this happens. Just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. So, do you have another class at 10? Hello? I'm asking to you, do you have your
No,
class?
sir.
Okay. So, I'll be taking your only 10 minutes more because my breakfast is also ready. So, it's okay. So, I was talking about what I was talking about. I was talking about that they are actually facing worries and issues. And what are those worries? The same as the human beings do. And you know that with that gust of the air, they are now down and bowed to the ground, and they cannot right themselves because the gust of the air, it was so intensive, it was so strong, it actually shook the plant or the tree from its root, and they are unable to right themselves. This is what we can say, that the real situation that has been depicted by Robert Frost by the nature, the situation of the human being. And then there is another, like you can see that they never right themselves. This is a personification. If you remember, then the personification is to give any inanimate the qualities of a human being. So this is, you can say, the tree is not human being, but you are giving the qualities of the human being. So you are calling it they never write themselves. You may see their trunks arcing in the woods years afterwards, trailing their leaves on the ground like girls on hands and knees that throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. Excellent, excellent. And you will see the imagery, and then you will really understand that, yeah, this is the same situation that we are encountered with most of the time, most of our lives. He says that the banned trees, they did not, if they cannot right themselves, तो फिर नेचर क्या करती है? नेचर उसको हेल्प करती है टू स्प्रेड इट्स ट्री, क्योंकि नेचर को का एक जो है वो पर्पस ही ये है कि नेचर नेवर स्टॉप्स। वो कहीं ना कहीं पे जिस भी जगह भी उसे अपना जो है वो कोई भी जगह मिलती है, कोई भी रूम मिलता है, वो उसको अपनी जगह में वहीं पे अपन अपना शुरू कर देते हैं। और ये वही सिचुएशन, वो कहता है कि if rather the trees, they are having, you can say, such problems like snow and many of the other the gusts of the airs, but nature never stops spreading, nature never stops trailing. And what it is, he says that now if the trees are long bent over that position, what we will have, it looks like they are arcing in the woods. Arc, the archery, you if you know about that archery, तीर कमान होता है तो एक arch की तरह. So now the bent tree is looking like an arch in the woods years afterwards. And what happened after many years? Trailing their leaves on the grounds. So now that arch tree will not stop growing. वो नहीं रुकेगा, nature नहीं रुकती. अब क्या करेगा? If that arch tree's upper branches were on the ground, so now those upper trees branches will be trailing, their leaves will be trailing on the ground. तो वो अब क्या करेंगे? अगर वो जमीन पे आ गए हैं तो वो वहीं पे जो है वो ग्रो करना शुरू हो जाए. और वो उसकी किस तरीके से एक सिमिली, किस तरीके से उसको एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सिमिली यहाँ पे बताता है. वो कहता है लाइक गर्ल्स ऑन हैंड्स एंड नीज दैट थ्रो देयर हेयर बिफोर देम ओवर देयर हेड्स टू ड्राई इन द सन. Because you girls can easily understand that, because I also see in my house what they most of the time do whenever they are taking bath, and after that whenever they have to dry their hair in the sun. Now you know that today we have modern equipments and dryers, you do not need to do that, but in the older times, so they have to dry their hair in the sun when they were actually tossing them from their front position to the back position. So they were thrusting their hair like this. So he is actually talking about that situation. How strong it is, which is like girls on hands and knees that throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. So you see that from the back to front. So it seems like the same position as he is talking about, that how the tree is also bent forward and the upper branches of the tree are spreading on the ground. The same as he's talking about the girls, they actually dry their hair in the sun by throwing them from before over their head. So this is, again, you can say that you can easily understand. See that the poetry is very the poetic style of Robert Frost is very conversational, very conversational. You can easily understand. It seems that the writer is talking with us, is conversing with us, is talking with us. This is as simple as you can. And then again, but I was going to say, when the truth broke in, with all her matter of fact about the ice storm. अब यहाँ पे, because he is not staying in one word, he is enjoying and staying in two or three words. more than 2 or 3 words. First of all, he is going back to childhood. Secondly, he is going back to the nature, and thirdly, he is going back to now the current situation. So he is actually going into different directions. Into his, you can say, taking a flight over different situations. अब पहले वो जो है वो बातें कह रहा था कि like might be that was a child. उसके बाद कहा no, I think no, this is not a child that bent them down. Might be this is an ice storm, because the power of the ice storm can only bend the trees like this, not a child. अब वो क्या कहेगा? अब वो चीजों के बारे में बता रहा है. अब क्या करेगा? तो the truth broken again. But I was going to say, when the truth broke in with all her matter of fact, and what is the reality, what is the fact, what is the truth that just broken in, that he wants to say, the ice storm. I should prefer to have some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Now he is talking about his childhood. He says that let me say the truth now, that it was not the ice storm, it was the boy. It was the boy who went out and in to fetch the cows. Now he's remembering his life, early life of his childhood, because he was the one who was living in the countryside on the farm, and he was thinking that he's saying that he went out to fetch the cows, to tend the cows, and to get them back in the farm. And when he was actually tending the flock, tending the cows and the animals at that time, when he was a child, then some boy too far from town to learn baseball. So that was the boy who was actually bending the trees. He was the boy who was actually fetching the cows. He was the boy who was actually going down to learn the baseball, whose only play was that what he found himself. So whatever he finds, if he finds anything to play with, so it was his game. If he finds that okay, with the play he can play with the tree, so that was his play. It means that what he wants to and what he's trying to say. This is the philosophy of Robert Frost's life. जो सारी की सारी philosophy lines में है, वो क्या कहता है कि when I was child, I never cared about anything. Even though I played with my problems, I played with my challenges without any taking care of. But now I am adult and I'm thinking too much about the things that I cannot do that. It cannot happen. Because at that time I was not worried about anything. I was entirely empty out of these thoughts, out of these atrocities of life, worries of life, tensions of life. But then when I was a child, and then I myself did not ever care about that. You know that the child's play, the children they do not take care of anything. They do not worry about all the time. As you can say, a very beautiful ghazal, if you can remember, ये दौलत भी ले लो, ये शोहरत भी ले लो, भले छीन लो मुझसे मेरी जवानी, मगर मुझको लौटा दो बारिश का वो कागज की कश्ती वो बारिश का पानी. Like you can see that how this nostalgia is too strong, not only in one place, not in one at one place, but in many. Everyone around the world admires the childhood or the nostalgia of the past, because at that time you are out of worries, out of tensions. He says, whose only play was what he found himself. Whatever play he finds for himself, he was playing that without taking care of any risks, without taking care of any dangers, summer or winter, and could play alone. So he doesn't care, even though the winter doesn't care of the summer. You might have seen your younger brothers, your siblings, your nephews, your nieces. They do not care about of winter and summer. They are going out of their houses without wearing gloves, without wearing shoes in winter. And in summer, they do not care about. They look like strawberries. Most of the time in summer, they look like strawberry. My nephew, he looks like strawberry whenever he comes out of the uh, that hot weather or that hot climate. It looks like his cheeks look like the strawberry. So they do not care about such things. But we, when we are adult, we are taking care of our skins. We are taking care of our complexions. Not to go out in the summer, not to go out in the hot weather, not to go out in the, isn't it? We are finding all the time shadows and shadows. So this is, I would say, the main difference between the childhood experience and your adult experience. So do not care about whether it is summer, whether it is winter. When it means the summer or the winter, they are also associated with the tensions, with the worries, with the problems of the child. And could play alone. He doesn't care about anything. One by one, he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again until he took the stiffness out of them. Again, excellent line. Excellent. It means that one by one, because he is now talking about his real childhood. Because when he says, I was going to say when truth broke in with all her matter of fact about the ice storm. So it was not the ice storm exactly, it was that child. And one by one, what that child has done with his father's trees, like he was bending them all one by one. Subduing. Subduing means he was conquering. He was conquering on all of them. He was actually, you can say, taking control of every tree and winning every tree one by riding them down over and over again and until he took the stiffness out of them. This is the line, I would say, that the essence of the whole poem. It means he was riding the tree, that birch tree, again and again by holding the top branches of the tree, because he was also the child, he was also child at that time, and the trees, they were also the plants at that time. They were not the grown up trees. They were also tiny enough that he can hold the branches of the trees. He can go upward the tree. He can climb the tree and he can then hold the branches and he can come and set himself down on the ground. And this was the swinging, the play of that child. And he said that he subdued every tree of his father by riding them down and over again until he took the stiffness out of them. And what happened with those trees? When he just kept on riding down every tree again and again, you know that there is an erection, there is a stiffness, there is a in the trees or in the trunks of the trees. So that stiffness is gone when they are ridden by that child again and again. Beautiful, very beautiful line. It means there is no more stiffness, no more hardness in the stem, in the trunk of that tree anymore, because he is riding that tree again and again, and the stiffness is out of them. Totally, he took the stiffness out of them. Now they have become totally and totally flexible. They were totally flexible. There is no stiffness in them anymore. It means that you have to challenge your worries and tensions. This seems a counterintuitive approach. It means that you do not care about your worries anymore, rather you play with them. And if you will play with them, with your tensions, with your worries, what will happen? You will conquer them. You will triumph over them. you will win a victory over them. Because if you are just closing your eyes and waiting that the danger will pass, it will never pass. You have to open your eyes and you have to face the challenge, and then you have to win in that war, in that battle. Then this that fear will be gone. And if you are not, you could say, like you may recall the story of Sebastian, the story of Sebastian by Gulistani Sadi. You know that where what happens over there. That there was a man who was shivering and again screaming loud, "Oh, please save me! I cannot. I just feel fear from the water. I feel fear from the water. Please save me! I just want to go home." And one of the man, a wise man, he said that throw him in the water. And that man actually threw him in the water. And after that, he was just saying, "Oh, please save me! I will not speak a single word." And when he was actually taken back on the board, on the ship, so now then he was the one who was quiet enough. He didn't speak anything. Why? Because the fear was gone. It means that he met with his fear, and that fear was not too much scary. It was not too much horrific. And then this is the life actually. When you are actually fighting with the challenges of the life, then what will happen? What will happen that you will win the war. But on the other side, if you are just passing by the fear, passing by the challenges, and if you want or find any shortcuts to live your life, then that fear will come again and again in your ways. It will come again and again in your ways, and it will haunt you, and then it will break you, and you cannot make them to your journey, to your. So that is the reason that we have to face. And he does the same. That he was a child. He had the energy. He had the potential, and he took the stiffness out of them. And not one but hung limb, not one was left for him to conquer. So there was not one tree, one branch left to conquer for him. So he conquered every tree of his father by swinging them down and again. And he took the stiffness of it. And what he has learned, he also has learned many lessons from it. He, from there, from here. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon. And so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. Okay, I think that my breakfast is totally frozen. The tea is also frozen, and I think that I must, because my throat is not fine. It really irritates me when I speak, because it is getting dry every time, and on the other side that it really hurts me. So rather that I think that we must stop right now, uh, and then inshallah we'll be continuing uh, from this line. You just need to keep this thing line in your mind. But if you have to ask anything, you can ask right now, because I do not have, I would say, any stamina to go on. Rather, I have two more classes to take, so I think it's enough for today. Yeah, if you have to ask any question, you can ask right now. Okay, no question at all. Thank you so much for attending today's class. Have a good day. Bye bye. I love this.